Mr. Chairs, work sessions, it's all yours.
All right, well, we're here for the, 5, we're here on January 20th, Tuesday. And this is the Planning, Zoning, and Historical Appropriateness Commission for Historical Preservation Work Session. Take it from there.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yes, so what I really wanted to get out today was just in order to, and it's not a requisite of CLG, we can actually have our historic register separately independent of CLG, but it gives us kind of added notice, but additionally, it'll let us, that's where the funding and everything comes in.
That was our first
Yes.
question. We had. What's the advantage with, it's already on the national register of having a local register?
Yeah, the benefit, so I can start with that. Yeah, definitely, let me start with that, because I think that's something that is important. When you see something about your property, what do you do, well, what does it mean for me, and what does it mean for the town? So number one, it's and there's the additional benefits that I think we as the town want to really incorporate, because we wanted to have some incentive for people to want to individually kind of nominate their own properties. So in order to do that, something like in addition to being on the National Register where you get a tax free, we also want to be able to perhaps do a reduction in our local property taxes, waivers of use, perhaps some special use permits or something, attached to being listed when it's mainly outside of the historic district, because that is something that I am looking at. We have a bunch of more, very valuable, significant historical properties outside of, both contributing and significant outside of our historic district. Another benefit is, it's the historic preservation. It's been held, it's transferable for development rights programs, which we're able to kind of work around these programs as to what it means and how it can benefit the applicant for historic property. So in addition, what happens is we're trying to protect the residents itself. And we're using the building itself as a historic resource. So it's not, it's very political. It gets very personal, and people feel like, this is my home, this is my property, I can do what I want with my property rights. But preservation, which is why I said to all of these preservation documents, preservation takes a lot of precedence over that. I believe the two top are preservation and safety, the fire safety, the fire code. So those two take a lot of precedence over it. If you read the National the Preservation Act of 1966, that first portion that says it is our utmost, it's a prized possession that we have as a historical properties. They're a measure of time, and without this we can't move forward. Which sounds kind of weird that without the past we can't move forward, but it's that whole story of those who people in the past are doomed to repeat it, but you also have to learn these lessons. But it also tells a story of who was here. We are as a people. We use that, and then we all have cookie cutter boxes, cookie cutter homes. It's a great quote that I read once. It says, "If you just all have the same home, how will you know where you are? Where you belong to? You can, you get lost, and you just become something.
Three questions. Is it okay?
Oh, please, yeah.
I read in this that if it's a national historic register, they should put their landmark with it. And if anyone wants to become a landmark, you have to have it.
Correct.
But you don't have to for the local.
Correct.
Oh, okay,
Yes.
okay.
Yes, for the National
That kind
Register.
of got me a little bit. It's like,
Really? You need
It's-
a permission?
Yeah, it's interesting.
Surprising.
It's very interesting because people, like as I was stating, it's my property. I can do what I want.
Yeah.
I should be able
I
to
don't
do
wanna be
whatever.
restricted.
Yeah, I don't want to be restricted. But for the National Register, you do require,
It's more stringent.
it's a little more stringent because it also ties into federal law, state and federal funding as well. And what comes into play, and you'll read further, and we'll have maybe a discussion, or I can send you some more informational, some documents on what Section 106. And that's when a federal, and we don't have that happening too much here in town just yet, but it's in places, little bigger cities where federal entities want to come in and build upon a historic property. So that's when the hearing has to be done, and it gets a little bit deeper.
So the battle of domain would be different with the historic.
With the federal, yes, with federal entities. So, and there's a lot, and all tied into that are also Native American properties as well.
Yeah.
So that's something to look at. But my main reason for this workshop is because my intent is to nominate buildings to our own, and what I'm calling is the Town of Mesilla Cultural and Historic Register. Well, that would be our register, which is, I think it's sweet to name that, and we get to, so these are just properties, but there's so many things, as you can see in that checkbox. It can be an acequia, it can be a mill, it can be, and really anything that holds true significance, and which was another reason why I sent you that definition of what significance is and how, I believe I said
So
that to
that
you.
gin mill, as an example, could be on the register. Or
Absolutely,
local
yes,
register.
yes.
It's not on the national.
Yeah, no, yeah. And it was, this morning I was revising I wasn't revising, I was just viewing our historic district, and it's just really encompassing the plaza and the surrounding buildings.
Yeah.
And there's some random little buildings
Further
circled off
back.
to the side.
Yeah, right.
But there's
Right.
so much more to that when I think about our agricultural history, when I think about how the town built, how it was built. It was built through these farmers. It was built through a lot of this. So what my main discussion is to kind of say, how can we locally nominate these properties? So I also gave you all a copy. So if you're inspired, you can also locally nominate a property. But what it starts with, in addition to these fillable forms, we'll have these also here in the town hall. And I was trying to do a PDF kind of online, and it just became a little crazy with it. It didn't allow you to fill it out with the way you wanted to fill out. So I was saying to myself, what would be the best way to kind of do this? I want to make it easy for people. You don't want to make a hindrance at any of that, because then
They got their phones.
So everybody has their phones now. So I also have a QR code that's going to be for local designation. This is through Microsoft Forms, which is mainly kind of a survey quick questionnaire. But this one here.
Oh, that one here.
This is
Okay,
through Microsoft Form. So you can scan it, and I don't know if I have 2 copies if you like, and feel free to give it a go. And you can scan it, and it's the same exact questions that are on this hard copy here.
Okay.
The only thing is just cleaner, faster, and the only default that I have is I request for people to attach documents and to send it to me along with their application. I can see people saying, "Oh, I didn't know," a little, but it's very, very functional. I have my email in multiple places there where they're able to also send these additional documents, and these additional documents are the photos, the historical narrative, site plans, or any relationship they may have to the, and you'll see it. Just it's parallel to the application.
Can I add one more comment before I forget it? I noticed you have cultural in the name, and I talked to Eric Liefeld this morning. I know he's been in touch with you, and vice versa. Wealth of information.
Oh yes.
But he was talking about arts and culture district. And, really our district, our historic district is an art and cultural district, but it also includes the farmland, I would think.
I can
I
see.
mean, that's part of the culture.
I can see, I was also, as a sidebar, I was also looking at an arts and culture district, but that's usually when you have a Main Street program tied into that, where we
Like
can.
in Las Cruces.
Yeah,
Probably,
did you just
yeah.
see that they just put up these new kind of pillars, arts and culture district?
Yeah,
arts and
Yeah,
culture.
yeah.
Yeah, and
Okay.
but I think that's in the
It could
works
be
for
coming.
us. I'm looking mainly at the Main Street program for funding for historic preservation,
okay,
and to
good.
tie that into our whole. The other opportunity, I believe, is called a Frontier program, and I'm just still doing some research regarding that, seeing how, because we fall under kind of a smaller population. More
It would seem like
rural
this
and-
eventually could be kind of an overlay, so to speak. If
Absolutely.
It's in, if
Yes,
it's in
yeah,
the
and
historic district.
and through art and through culture, it's also an expression. It can be an expression of historic preservation as well. So, but yes.
So if something is designated, it would be a crime to remove, I'm thinking of art.
I have a good example. Actually, you're speaking. Yeah. A good example I have is there's a business on the plaza that wanted to create a mural on her wall. She says, my walls are a little bland. I kind of want to add some floral, and we're like, that's great. That looks beautiful. However, her building's historic. After I went to the Historic Preservation Division, I'm in constant communication with Historic Preservation Division, and she's out of, her name is Carla McWilliams. She's out of Santa Fe, and I'm always asking her all sorts of, she's very, very helpful.
And you have a contact in Las Cruces too, probably.
Yeah,
I forget her name.
she's my
Counterpart.
my counterpart.
in
Yeah,
Las
but
Cruces.
we consult
Okay.
all the time.
Like a
You know.
mural that was covered.
Oh, that one, on 28.
Oh yeah. So there's always,
It's
but
'cause it didn't get
for
a permit.
example,
It's
yeah,
Yeah.
she wanted
That
to.
was a- that was-
No,
No,
that
no,
was.
it wasn't. No.
It wasn't. Yeah, you're
Um,
right.
No.
But yeah, so she wanted to create this kind of mural. So it was considered a mural when I brought it up to the mayor, and he's like, "Well, that we considered a mural to paint flowers on a historic building, anything as such." However, it's in quite what happened is that you would have to mention now because it's a landmark by the plaza. That's the National Historic Landmark. We would need to make amendments to that, to the landmark explanation to say there's a mural here, this is attached, but then you'd have to maintain the mural forever. So, and that's who's to say the next business owner is
Wants
going to
that.
who will want it and want to retain it, and then match the color, and so. And we want, we want to,
I'm just thinking about the ability of the kid bar. Like
Yeah.
if they were forced to keep their
You're-
beer
yeah.
sign up,
Yeah. Right.
whatever
Yeah.
it was, that would be interesting.
yeah.
My
Another
quick
good
question.
example would probably be
That's
the
not-
hospital.
But yeah,
That's
the
what-
Oh, yeah.
Budweiser.
That whole mural,
Yeah.
that whole mural that they had back there,
Oh,
yeah.
That's
Would that
not
be-
historic.
Would that mural be separate from the actual structure? Like a sign, preservation?
At this point, because I do have it on, it would be included, to say that it is now part of this building, and it would be in the
Before, but
explanation,
now
yeah,
too.
when you're
Okay.
making the full. So the process of designation, I like I said, I tried to make it as user friendly as possible. We can make determinations, but the local designations are specifically for the town. And that is what, I know we've been protecting a lot of these buildings that have been nominated on the National Historic Register. However, technically, these buildings on our local register are the ones that we are to be protecting.
Right.
But good thing we've been protecting those anyway, right?
So Leanne, quick question. So I remember the last meeting, I think it is, correct me if I'm wrong, but you had said that someone could put in an application for a homeowner against their will. Is that true?
Oh, for,
Yeah.
yes, anybody,
Nomination.
yeah, yes, yeah.
What, and the
For the
homeowner
local.
says, I don't want that. What happens then?
They
But for this one.
So are you ready?
From this year.
Okay.
have to appeal it.
So what happens is, and I forwarded you some information regarding that,
Right.
when we adopted this new, which is because there wasn't a historic preservation is in place, nor were we meeting all the codifications for CLG. These were required amendments that we had to make. And the big thing is, and this is an open question, yeah, and I had mentioned it 2 weeks ago, was what happens when you give people the consent? I mean, it's an open question. Yeah, really. How many people are going to say, oh, yeah, I don't want to have anybody make changes to my place, or I don't want to? It's not. And all we're doing are placing design review restrictions. And that's what we've been doing, which is
Anyway.
which
through
is
the-
that's
through
what
the-
we've been. Yeah, this is what we do anyway. You can do absolutely anything you want to the interior.
Yeah.
You can make an addition within guidelines,
Yeah.
right? So you're not handcuffed, you're not tied. And right now, what I've been bringing up, and I like to mention again, is this idea of adaptive reuse.
Mhm,
If we have these historic buildings, some that are kind of outlying the town, they can be used. They don't have to be a home. They can be a museum. They can be a yoga studio. They can be a gathering community space, a bar, a reading room. They can be so many beautiful things that can be an addition, or cultural centers. That's things that can add to the town, and in the right way. It doesn't have to be, they're just putting restrictions on my home. So I think that's the mind frame we have to really take into this. But I think when somebody who hasn't had their home under design review feel like their property rights are being, shunned. So yeah, are compromised. Yeah.
Well, let me ask a question about, well, it's a personal question because it has to do with my property. It's a national, contributed, built in the 30s, and we haven't repaired one of the structures. We haven't upgraded it. We've done the other ones. And so I didn't know about this tax advantage. So is it true that if it became, I'm talking about a timing too, if I apply for that and it becomes that, it might take a long time, could I apply for a tax advantage of repairing that building?
You didn't get that on any of your structures?
No. I mean, they're talking about a fair amount of money tax,
Yeah, very interesting.
50,000 or something. Well, no one told me.
Good.
Depends on.
I didn't know.
Yeah,
I didn't know.
no, and I think that's common, and that's another thing that I want to begin this education, because
Sure,
there's
yeah.
benefits. It's not just saying we want to take
Yeah.
control over what you do with your
Right,
property,
but
and
here's your
locally,
benefit,
yes.
Okay.
There's separate tax breaks that the National Register
Right.
does when you're listed under the National Register and your property becomes for public
Pretty
use.
big.
Yeah, then
Tax
that's when you get a bigger tax break, right? But through the local nomination, that's what the CLG is about.
Right.
If your property is nominated
Right.
and you're on the
Okay.
local, then you're able
Good.
to receive some money
Alright.
for that. And my hopes really are to kind of create a preservation fund, really, so that CLG, because of current administration, it's limited. There is some allotted, but there's still no money. And we're just a reminder, it's from offshore oil funding that we're getting. 10% is allotted to the state, and then all of that is divided amongst all of the CLGs within the state.
How many
Offshore
CLG,
drilling.
municipalities are there,
I think there's 9 right now. Yeah,
Currently.
So there's not like a lot. But there's nine.
yeah,
There's some.
yeah. It's
Wow.
7 or 9, one of those odd numbers. So, but yeah, and it even took. I think it was in 2021, Las Cruces got their CLG, so they're also, and I was,
Right.
nice to see how. Yeah, well,
I guess the
they're all.
Permian
It's the
Basin,
pool.
too.
It's
Yeah.
like everybody. Yeah.
Drilling.
But that's also, I think my communication with Carla is really to let us be seen. We haven't been seen we've been trying to achieve the CLG status, I know, for some time, but I feel, there hasn't been, it's hard. We're busy doing so many other things. It just becomes, it kind of fell wayward.
But you're here.
So, yeah.
That's good.
I'm trying. There's so much. There's
Yeah,
so
other
much to
stuff you're
do.
doing.
There's so much to do. But so just to go back to this nomination process. Oh, here, I have a quote for you. I like to throw in quotes. It says, "A man who forgets his past and allows the flames of things he loves to be extinguished has no future."
Whoa.
That's a good deep one. But
Mankind.
yeah. Yeah.
Humankind. Yeah.
Humankind. Sorry. This was probably 1950s. 50s. Okay, so the process would be as follows. So initially it would be to fill out the application, whether it be a hard copy or the local designation via Microsoft Forms. And that's what I did the three that we're going to view here, those I did on the Microsoft. I just found them to be easy.
Easier.
You just have to have that. And I'm a computer gal, so it was a little easier. And then all of these steps are written in our code when we adopted the code. When I was going through amendments, so they have been approved and they're in the process of being codified, and that is in chapter in 1833 under the historic preservation. And so then, in addition to the application, documentation has to be provided. And it's required.
some of this,
Yeah,
yeah.
you need to have a narrative for the narrative, as mentioned. It also includes the significance, which what does it mean? And significance can be historical. It can be also a feeling. It can be a cultural, which is a feeling can be big, right? But a feeling that's tied into the community, into the culture.
But if it's my house and I don't want to have that feeling, do I have to?
I kind of want to sing
I
a
don't
song.
want to be a part of that
Yeah.
feeling.
Then
Can I say no?
it's coming up. You can't say no.
Okay.
You're given. Okay, so yeah.
Well, not you and me, but someone else.
Okay.
Yeah.
Time out.
Tough.
Right, Rosemary.
You know,
Right.
So I know you get this information from somewhere because his history
Somewhere.
is subjective. It's
Absolutely.
interpretation.
Yeah. I think. What did you
Stories.
say? Everything is subjective.
Well, a lot
But
of
yeah, but yes, but anyway.
So
But
yeah.
So I think it's meant to be that way, right? That's
Yeah.
how-
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I
Cultural
think
story.
Yeah.
it also has
Yeah, yeah.
and that's what you have
Yeah.
to, and that's why the resources that I mentioned have to be primary, secondary,
Okay,
or
okay.
oral history. I mean, it can't be like, oh, I heard from my cousin's brothers,
story is-
whatever. Yeah, that this
the
is
bar.
what. And if they do tell you these oral histories, you can go back and fact check.
Yeah.
Where
It's
the
really
hard copies, where
fascinating.
the
It's really interesting.
yeah, and this was the first. Sorry, we'll get to
No,
that. So after we're providing this documentation, they'll send that document. The document will automatically come to me on Microsoft Forms, which is so easy for me too.
Yeah.
But it's just as easy if somebody wants to come and hand me. The only problem I see with this is if it's not typed up, it's legibility. It's to see, sometimes it's hard to read what everybody's writing, but that's, the max of it. And then following that, after I read it over and I see that it has cultural, and
Mirrored.
yeah, it has some merit, it has some integrity is the word,
Mhm.
And if it has some integrity, then I will, after that, send it a notice to the property owner. We have to also have a hearing held. And these hearings, just like all other hearings, you have to have 14 days notice, so 2 weeks in advance. So that would be, and that's the process. And then it ultimately comes down to the commission to make this. And I will present as much information as they presented. If it's my nomination, I'm going to give you put all the cards out on the table for you to see. This is why it should be nominated. Now, a big part of this is why I'm saying what I would love, some help with is some of these buildings that are already on the National Register. We have to adopt them to our local and their cultural and local designation. So it's kind of, I want to say a piece of cake, but it's not really because, and Eric brought this up to me, and you guys don't actually have the National Register historic nomination sheet. So I'm going to email those to you so you can see the map.
With the text.
With the text, so you can see, but it's very limited. It's like one sentence, and I know they did their very best, but we need to create a narrative for many reasons. You want to create a narrative for the nomination, but we need it as a town. I think it's very important when you can tell the story, then connect the dots. It's actually pretty exciting when you're able to connect the dots and say this property, once, after just coming back from that Gats, and he was telling me the initial home owner was a Barela, which is, if you don't know, they own so much land in here. But you're able to connect the dots and also begin to create this narrative. And this is what we can share. And this is what historic preservation really is about, is creating this sense of pride in these buildings. So yeah, and then once the hearing is held, you all make the determination. And as I noted, and you were noting, Commissioner Gallegos, is the owner consent, which I sent that to you separately. And I'll read those for you out loud. Okay, so we'll start here. And this will be a newly added session. I don't know, do you know how long it takes for them to move from the code to put it online? Yeah, to actually have it on?
Well, it depends on, every submission is a certain amount of money, the expense of the charges, but if you submit them all at once, it's like, not fast.
Okay.
Not much more, cheaper, I guess I should say. But yeah, typically it takes about a month.
Okay.
That's not too bad.
Yeah. So,
But it's expensive.
really?
Anytime you want to qualify, that's why whenever we submit, try to submit
To
like
do it all together.
multiple at once, because
Make
it
it worth
changes
the
every
cost.
single time.
Okay. All right, so this would be a newly added section for the owner consent for a registered designation, and this is 1833-141 that I've named it as. And I'm sorry if I didn't give that to you, but I sent it to your email. I just wanted to read it and share that with you.
You already said.
But yes, this is so. A is here. The town of Mesilla, with approval from the Planning and Zoning Historical Appropriateness Commission, may designate historically significant properties, structures, sites, or district as historic landmarks or historic districts based on criteria established in the municipal code, regardless of property owner consent. The property owners and members of the public shall have the opportunity to provide comments during the designation process at Pzhac determination meetings. However, lack of owner consent shall not preclude designation if the property meets the criteria for historic significance. Property owners may appeal the designation to the town council within 30 days of final notice.
Being the BOT.
Yeah,
Council.
yes.
Governing board.
Governing board.
Yes, the governing board. However, it doesn't conclude, it's an appeal, just like every other appeal. So it's open to final determination as well. So the Pzhac or the governing board may uphold or overturn the designation based on evidence presented. This provision affirms the town's commitment to preserving its cultural, architectural, and historical resources for the benefit of the community and future generations. So I also wanted to send you an essay on owner consent at some point, because that's where the level of, I think that's a sensitivity comes in. There's so many articles, and I encourage you to kind of seek those out yourself. If we offered consent, the number of historical properties relative to historic, they just, yes. Yeah. And it starts with something as small as, I just wanted to change the windows, and it starts with the window. And then it starts with this, and then it moves on to something else. And And then it's no longer the place that holds this it's not a moment in time of history. It loses its integrity. So
It
this
seems
is-
like the application, is like, it's almost geared towards the owner, right? Because you're not gonna sneak into someone's gate, jump the gate and take photographs and then submit it to the right? I mean, you could.
no, we don't want to do that. Please don't do
Yeah.
that. Yeah. But these, we're yeah.
I don't have a fence.
It's easy to.
Well, the good
Take
thing
pictures.
now, and that's exactly
Yeah.
And capture and
Yeah.
then submit it, okay.
Especially if
That
you're
would be
selling,
the
because you get it on
override.
Zillow.
and that's
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
yeah.
That's
Yeah.
true.
So and
No
that's
secrets.
that's what I meant.
Okay.
Unless they're your buddies and they want to take some
Right.
pictures for you. However, the majority of the photo and there's I don't know if either of you know how to access the Doñana County parcel map. That is a great tool. So you can just get overview, even property deeds. You can request initial deeds. You can get a picture of the front of the property as well. And there's even a little site map as to where the property is. But one of the nominations, it's all from Zillow, and it's all, and mind you, the interior is not really, unfortunately, it's not a concern of ours. It's more the facade that we want to just make sure that remains intact. So,
What is the requirement for historic, either national or local requirements as far as what pictures do they need? I mean, rather than just the front of the building, it seemed like you'd need a surround picture of the whole structure.
yes, I would say
That's-
What if there's
Yeah.
multiple structures?
yeah, I would say try submit as much as you
As
can.
much as you.
As much as you can. And then after, but it's more, it can be an so part of the significance can be architectural, but it's usually based on, like I was saying, is historical. What if now 50 years, anything that's more than 50 years can be
Right.
historical,
Considered.
considered historical. So you can nominate you can nominate, you can nominate a property like that. A person to anyone who has done something, who's lived there in the town, who has done it at that house while they were living there. That's more for National Register, but to be more precise with that. And additionally, it's materials architecturally. If it's an adobe house, that's a mark of the time and period and our history and culture as part of the town. So it's these kind of, and which is why I believe in something I'm thinking too is I'm not trying to overwhelm people, and I'm trying to make this application process as simple as possible. But there's that whole level of what significance really is and how you can kind of relate. So maybe I'll do a small cheat sheet, a kind of easy kind of, your property is if this, if this and not this. Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
There you
Yeah.
go.
Like
See?
that.
Yeah.
Before
Is
you
this-
start this process.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, because they can't say it's important, it's my grandma's house. And I don't want to, but if it's your grandma's house, it's been for 50 years and it's an adobe house that, it's still in pristine, and then the narrative is that's when the narrative will build up and become something. Okay. And I think we were just going to look at these
Nominations.
nominations that we have here.
Meat and potatoes here.
Yeah. Get down to business here. So yeah, I did these first three, and I over on the Microsoft Forms property here. And so this first one here is the 2380 Calle Principal. Some people say Calle de Principal, but that's
I know. I've
that
heard
doesn't,
that.
yeah. I feel
You wonder about
It's
the either
Main
Street.
D or
Hispanic. Yeah, it's
L.
Main Street.
Main
It's not
Street.
street of the main. So, and this this property is already on the historic,
Yeah.
National Historic Register
It's
as
pretty
part
neat.
of the National Historic Landmark. And I think it kind of speaks for itself.
Oh,
it's
gosh.
such an amazing building. And I mean,
Great
it's,
story.
yeah, it's so good.
Brutal.
And it gets even better when you,
Murder.
yeah,
two murders, not just one.
double
There's two.
murder. But
I did have a question on this, because
Yes.
remember when we had the project where this guy was gonna
Mhm.
redo the porticos around it? And so there's two separate structures that are common wall.
correct.
And so this is obviously just the brick structure that's fronting the plaza
Mhm.
and principal. So what was built first? Was it this built first or this first? 'Cause
I-
it's two different numbers
Yes,
on the register. So I
okay,
guess the
so,
question is, why are you singling out this one part of
Listen,
the building?
For me, as I'm looking at it, it's the whole building is the store now. There's that frontis part, you know,
Right.
the facade, which is the brick building. But if the store extends to the back, that were the Adobe residences.
Resident, used to be
Where,
residential.
this is where I'm visualizing Moran and his counterpart to live it,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
where they
yeah.
once were
The
living it.
doors are still.
So,
there.
yeah.
The windows are still. there.
Yes. Yeah, so that's how I envision it as one piece.
Yeah.
You know, although there's not a lot of evidence on that, the Adobe,
back.
the backspace. And that's a good point, because as I was like, should I have given the detail as far as that rear Adobe home? I'm convinced the homes were built first.
That makes sense.
Yes.
So they
And-
could build the rest of it.
Yeah, and
that
then
place to-
I don't know if
to
I
stay.
attached those historic photos, but I just found them on the National Register. And the brick structure did not have the portal at all.
Oh, right.
In
It was going to be a
like,
two-story building.
yes, yes,
It's-
that's cool.
It's got
Um,
evidence of that.
so,
It never
and-
got built.
That Adobe home structure did have the portal previous,
Oh,
and
just
so
on that structure.
just on that.
Oh, that's curious.
And then they just incorporated it all around.
You
So
know, I read all the really interesting reading that, but I also heard, now whether it's true or not, or one of those different histories, but I heard that the gentleman that built our property was a student, and one of these sections of the building, I don't know where it was exactly, it was a front, it was a carpenter shop where they trained, there was a professor from the university, at the time it wasn't called him, what was it called, agricultural? Yeah. But he was the instructor instructing them, and a lot of the furniture they made went to the university.
oh,
So it'd be nice to figure
All
out.
those doors across town.
No, not, yeah, I don't think it was the doors.
Oh.
They made mostly
You
furniture.
know, those carved doors.
Yeah,
I see around.
Well, he did those.
That's an old.
Well, at least they're our house.
You gotta
So,
do it,
It'd be interesting to see if that's true story and add it to the
yeah,
text.
we need the sources. Yeah, I mean, it's great.
Documentation.
And you know, as I'm looking through these, it's difficult. There's not a lot of
Yeah,
history
documentation.
documented. Yeah, and it's scattered. I realize it's in California.
Maybe you go to,
Texas,
because at
the
the,
archives.
well, down in Las Cruces, at one point they had in the museum down there,
Brannigan.
Brannigan Museum, they had a display for a while on two of the carpenters, at least the one carpenter was the guy that built our property.
Oh,
And they had the tools they used and a little tool packet, and they had representation. Well, they had actual furniture there that they did. It's kind of the classic light color, and they do the flowers in the back. You know, the
Oh,
arch
okay.
flowers in the back.
Oh,
It's
nice.
just really.
So
Yeah.
Maybe you could.
You're saying that.
I feel there's
That's-
so
Oh,
much
yeah,
more,
I'm sure,
you know,
I'm
and
sure.
trust me, to do a one nominate and to do it takes me a while. I'm constantly
yeah.
fact checking.
Yeah.
I'm reading, you know, multiple documents, so it's a lot of work. And
Eric
Right.
Lightfield will probably know something
Yeah.
about that.
Trying to lure him in.
I
It's
know,
hard to
he
get a
should.
hold of that
I
man.
know. His wife, I
But yeah, I know. It's hard to get a hold of him.
She can't even get a hold of him.
Busy with the time. Okay. Right. Okay, so as
All
you
right,
see, I
all
just want to show you those final two pages. So what I'm requesting here is, and I put it in red, where you see, I'm sorry, the final two pages of the nomination on the
Oh,
digital
photographs.
copy. That is
Oh, yeah,
just
you're-
how I'm hoping that they will, and I'm making them say that, and this, if they don't check any of these, they cannot proceed with the application. That's how I have it. So just that final, where's in red, it just, a lot of these, if you're not checking, which should be, I'm hopefully, is a reminder to the people applying that if they cannot submit these, if they don't submit them, it will not be. And I've also have a disclaimer at the end. There's like a small paragraph at the end that states, if the documents were not submitted, but be sure to submit your if they're not submitted, we cannot process your application. Okay. And then this second one here, 2600. So this is one that I actually have a meeting with Delia tomorrow, who is she is the daughter of Pablo Salcido, who opened the Palacio Bar. I would, it's called an alternate contributing property because there's been work done there, because there's a lot of work done on that building. But yeah.
Just this little bit of a.
Yes, yeah. It's just
That was
been,
the dance
so,
hall.
and that's what I've been thinking, because it has, but we can all say as part of being this town that it is a culturally significant place for us, as far as the architecture, like we're saying, it's a little, but it definitely has a narrative. It has, historical and cultural significance. But so I'm going to, after I have this meeting with her, I want to fill in the blanks. I do want to fact check, but she is probably the only main prime resource that I could get, that's difficult when you can't find the written primary or secondary sources, and that's going to come
At
up a
the age.
lot.
Yeah.
But I think
Yeah,
she's,
I was gonna say,
she's, and I said I need to get that story in.
soon.
I don't, and this is the case, this is the overall case in the town, is that people are passing away. If they're not passing away, they can't remember, they're too old, and there's a story to tell, and we have to get that in before it's too late.
And she's feeling better. She's
Yeah,
been pretty
yeah,
sick.
no, she
Oh,
was
actually,
sick, and
Yeah.
that's what they were telling me, that she was sick, and so I passed by Palacios on Friday, not for what you guys did, but just to to check
Okay.
on her and to check on our meeting. I know, to see what's happening, and it was supposed to be today, but she moved it tomorrow, and her son and her daughter will be there as well.
Okay.
Oh, nice.
So
Kids are good at it.
yeah, and this is it needs to be so yeah. And some of these descriptions, which you will see, are already in the National Register.
Oh, you took it from there.
So I'm taking bits and pieces, and then I'm fact checking that, and kind of, just I go to the archives as much as possible. There's a number, but I try and say, I'm just going to be in the archives for an hour. It ends up being 3 hours easy.
Oh,
3 hours is like a minimum
yeah.
to actually finally get to something,
Yeah.
for me at least. So any questions as of now? Any of the,
So far, so good.
Yeah.
okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for bearing with me.
Oh, no, it's interesting.
Okay. And then the final one, it's interesting. It is our first, it's going to be my first nomination for a structure that is not in our historical
In the
district.
plaza.
Yes,
Or
not in the
district.
district, on the plaza. The way, and everybody, someone had been looking at this property, and even before we had our eyes on it, and I was very curious, and so I did some general research, and then I checked it on, I just put in the address. Sometimes just put in the
Zillow?
address, and it came
Yeah.
up on Zillow. And as I'm looking at
800-something
Zillow, I'm seeing this home and I'm like, oh my goodness. And then there was a kind of recessed wall with exposed adobe and saying this home was constructed in 1890.
Mhm.
And a home in 1890 on between the Snow Road and Calle del Norte.
Norte,
I said, there's got to be a story to this. So I started to dig into, and the recess wall along with 1890 said Ginther Farm. So that was kind of like a cue. It's really like playing detective almost. You take this small and then you just run with it. And the amount of information that I came up with was amazing. Amazing. And I said, this home, and to be able to see the home, if you see these pictures, and like I said, I was trying to not put pictures of the interior, but it was just for,
Zillow's got a
yeah, I know. I
copy
said, let me
interior.
just,
It's really fascinating.
but yes, so this was one I said that it has to be nominated. The significance of the home is adobe. I did further research. This whole area, Snow Road and between pecan ranches, and I don't know if you ended up reading that article that I did on Snow Road. They were lined with different types of farms, and to find out a lot of POWs worked on homes and built structures, German and Italian,
Wow.
and then on top of this, there's this
The Butterfield.
mill here. Yeah,
The
there's.
Butterfield Trail
And then
goes
you're
through there.
thinking, I like to put myself in that time, and so you see yourself, at the plaza or in these farmlands, and you're taking these journeys back and forth for trade, and you're adding to the flourishing of the town, and vice versa, And then if you think about where Snow Road leads up to, it's leading up this way, it's leading up that way towards, and so. In addition, I looked up which Ginther owned this, and his name was Paul Ginther. I pulled up the original deed. You have something you have to request from, and before that, I think I mentioned it, that it was the Clark family. And I heard that the Clark lateral was named after them. I couldn't find any supporting documentation on that, so I just kind of left that alone. But that would have been cool to add that up. So there's an acequia that runs right through this property also. But this the history, I mean, if you've read it, and so this one I was like, this is when I gave up on the written application. I just said I just need to do a separate nomination form. There's just a lot of information on. So I found out, from first accounts that there's a farm. So there's a farmhand corners home, home
Right
quarters adjacent to that home, and then which was built by POWs. And then you see, as you're driving up Calle del Norte, you see this huge farm, and you'll see also the portal there, and it's the building is fully adobe. The whole structure is adobe there, which it's just adds to that quality of space and time. This is like almost like a perfect example of just being locked in time, intact.
Yeah.
Everything looks, but the story that lends to it is this was all agricultural land, mind you. I mean, after the river moved, the river was where it was now, and they had full access to all river. This house sits on 10 acres, so it's a lot of farmland.
But no well.
And there's a water mill. There's a mill that's powered, and it's powered all the water. There's a lot attached to this.
And this property is attached to other parcels as well, correct?
This is just, it sits on its.
Standalone?
Yeah, it's a standalone 10 acres.
Okay, so I thought there were 5-acre parcels adjacent to them along Calle del Norte going towards the river that was part of this property.
No, this is just one 10-acre property right now that belongs. So the Knopf family, Richard Knopf and John, Knopf, both, they married, they married into the Ginther family, and Ginther was their great-great-grandfather. So,
That's amazing.
yeah.
the stories of that's how cool that they all, like that piece, French, right? And then next door was
Yes.
Yeah, right.
Oh
across the street. Yeah.
Italian, Japanese, yeah.
Oh, whoa.
And
Unless you're PFW.
yeah. But if you read those tales, and I encourage you to read these on the Farm and Ranch oral history, they tell these stories, the POWs, and they tell the stories of how they were treated so kindly, how they were really, and they said the Germans were a little bit harsher than the Italians, but if you just had to get to know them, and they were just as nice. But it sets the tone for what this house and the farmlands, in addition to who owned this home, and what he did. I think it's just amazing. So it's has high significance in it, which it being one of the first properties out in that rural area. I can see it being a little touchy because we don't regulate much of what happens out in the rural farm area.
Yeah.
Which is code wise, which
Yeah.
is why I had a conversation with Eddie, why we want to create these incentives, make it worth it, make it worth, give them the benefit of the doubt. Yes, we get it. Yes, you're able to do this. So this is definitely something we're looking at, and something, going to kind of lean in on him and say, so we need to know. It's still for sale. Yeah. Yes. And so
you tried to rent it.
Well, the sale price
We
on
can all-
Zillow is like over 800,000. Well, for everything, obviously the land.
They tried to put in that winery at one point. Remember that?
Oh,
You
that's
guys
what
remember that?
good
Yeah.
location.
And just to give you a heads up, what I'm looking at for preservation is to make this a separate historic district. I think it would be wonderful. There's so much that
Agricultural.
yes, for an
historic
agricultural.
Agricultural. yeah.
Wouldn't I think it's so relevant to the town, to the everything. Mesilla was a main hub for agriculture for years. So, any questions? Because I know we have to wrap it up.
Yeah, we got it.
Sorry.
That's
Minutes.
fascinating.
6 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh.
Geez. Yes.
Oh,
yeah. We feel it.
Get excited.
Yeah.
But, we're not doing anything about it. Here's a stranger coming in that doesn't know the history of Mesilla, except for what you read, because you're not from here. And is more passionate about all this that we are sometimes. So, thank you.
No,
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank
Good
you.
comment.
No,
That's
it's
great.
it burns. My passion burns. And I just really want to. Yeah.
Check your pulse.
Yeah, and that's why I say I can't do it alone. I need everybody's help. I need your help. I don't know the stories. I do only know what I'm reading, and I can pick up here and there. I'm trying to meet with as many people as possible before they die, before they move out of town, before they decide that, something else. And
I think that with people are telling stories, like if I tell Mr. Paella, well, I know him, and I'll say, oh, you remember that?
Yeah, exactly.
And they'll say, oh, yeah, but.
Collaborate.
They have to tell you exactly.
But it's not documented.
yeah,
Yeah,
And it's-
we're not
It's
documenting.
all oral.
She's
The
documenting.
UN was just
Oh.
got that.
I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's really exciting.
Oh, it's very exciting.
yeah. I'm just, and I wanted
Thank you,
to keep.
Rosemary.
Oh, it's my
All right, so
pleasure.
this meeting, we call it
Yes.
formally
Yeah,
closed, right?
yeah.
Okay.
This work session is formally closed. We have a couple minutes. We'll start at 6 o'clock.
Thank you, thank you,
Yeah.
thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you.
Thank you. Oh,
It's the, down in Turtle. It's down in Corpus Christi. So just, and it's
oh,
treated
that's
in.
for your lucky lady?
Yeah, oh, yeah. Yeah, Catherine's
Thank
next,
you.
but she's working on another
Okay.
book right now. It's
You know
pretty
where I
short.
work. You know where I work.
Extra
Turtle Island is also what the United States was called before. It was, that's what the native people called.
Yeah.
Oh, in their native language.
Yeah, yeah.
Amendments. Is that what you want? So just mention that during the meeting, then I'll make that sweet. Yeah, we got some big areas.
Thanks for setting up. So what, that place is right across from or no. Okay. Is that the one that's set back from the main road a little bit in the plaza?
The church is right here.
Okay.
One hall, the store is lined on the side.
Right.
So the church is here and the store is right.
I wanted to start, looking it up and then for everybody to see. But I did it earlier, but I don't know what happened. It was working, but it's getting old. I get very You're barely noticing that. I get very picky. I can't even read my phone. God forbid it when you're writing. Because the teacher people say is a focus on see is fine. See distances. So I'm always doing this with my glasses. And I don't have a phone. I'm very seriously thinking about looking into replacing. Maybe. When it first came out, I was like, hey, but now I'm going to somebody mess with my app. But now everybody seems to be. I know a lot of people have done it. That's what I'm saying. Right in the middle. Am I straight? I get this.
Come this
¿Más frente? I'm big on being square. When I go to people's places and the frame's a little off of restaurants, I'm like, I'm not busy. I gotta go straighten it out. Yeah.
people get mad sometimes though. People sometimes get mad when I do that.
Right?
Then the thing falls off. I'm like, just trying to straighten it.
Okay, so it's quiet, so we'll go ahead and get commencing the Planning, Zoning, and Historical Appropriateness Commission meeting. It's 6 o'clock, and it's Tuesday, the 20th. And we start with the Pledge of Allegiance. If you can join us.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next order of business is the roll call. Mr. Salazar, if you could do.
Commissioner Gallegos,
Present.
Commissioner Miller, Commissioner Alviar, Commissioner Overhill,
Present.
and Commissioner Walkinshaw.
Present.
Commissioner Paz
President.
and Commissioner Lucero.
Here.
Mr. Chair, you have quorum.
Very good, thank you. Now it's time for the commission, kind of deja vu here. Commissioners' re-election for officers for the commission. And Eddie, can you give us a little explanation of why we're doing this again?
I don't know any.
Give it a whirl.
So It was brought to the board of trustees, the concern about electing or officers for the commission prematurely, right? Um, their understanding, when if some of you probably did go or maybe watched it on YouTube, they themselves have mixed interpretations of the code, right? And to me, our process was initiated correctly, but the one thing that I do, will admit is, the mayor brings the commissioners' recommendations to the board of trustees for their approval, I guess, right? So, in a sense, but it won't. If the mayor does not bring any commissioners to the commission for approval, then he only will bring, the board of trustees will only approve or consider any commissioners, anybody that he brings to the table. So if he doesn't bring anybody to the board of trustees for their consideration, then they're not going to be considered. So he's the one, and then I think that is what, when you're reading the title, it states, the commission has the right to appoint. Right, commissioner has the right to appoint with the consideration or the approval of the board of trustees. So therefore, the commissioners that were up with their terms, in my interpretation of the code, and some of the trustees as well, was that because your term is up, doesn't give you a vacant seat if you re-enlist, right? Other board of trustees didn't feel that way, So to be fair and consistent, was most of the part of our code. It was best decided, the board of trustees decided to, hey, just run it for reapproval, just to make sure that, we're not going to miss anything or be unfair to any party or person. So in a nutshell, we're just going to go ahead and revote because technically it needed to be approved by the board of trustees as Commissioner Mulvihill brought that evening. But like I was mentioned to the mayor, is that generally the first meeting of the year, we're ahead of the board of trustees, right? So technically that first meeting, who's going to run that meeting, right? So there's really not going to be any officers there to set. So again, there's some, again, it was brought up to light. So they are going to work. I think they give themselves 30 days to sit down, put it together, and come up with a more detailed, accurate, clear version. Because again, it's subject to interpretation sometimes, and depends who reads it. So that's why we're doing this again.
So I guess the basic bottom end is it's sensitive about the timing. The timing is.
Well, yeah, and that part also is what is considered to be a vacancy, right? Or and the terms and all.
Okay. Well, thank you. Appreciate that. So we're going to go ahead and go through the nomination process again. And according to the Robert's Rules of Order, there's various ways we can do it, but it's going to be a floor. I think it's the quicker way to do it is a floor nomination. And so let's start with the secretary at this point. Let's kind of reverse it.
Okay.
And so are there any nominations for the secretary position?
I nominate Lori Miller to be for secretary, for the position.
Okay, Commissioner LVR nominates Commissioner Miller for secretary.
So are there any other nominations? Oh, and I don't think we need a second.
We don't need
Do we?
a
I don't
second,
think so.
or no? Okay.
We're just nominating.
Anybody else? No? Go for the vote.
Okay, yes, sir.
All right. Again, this is for Commissioner Miller, and you did accept it, correct? All right. So Commissioner Gallegos?
Yes.
Commissioner Miller, obviously you said yeah. Commissioner LVR?
Yes.
Commissioner Mulvihill?
No.
That's it. And Commissioner Walker-Chop.
Yes.
All right, so you have 3 yeses and 1 no. Motion passes.
Okay, the next position would be for vice chair. If we can have a nomination for that, or nominations.
Nominate Commissioner Gallegos.
Anybody else? Oh. All
I'm
right.
assuming you accept.
You accept?
Except
Okay.
So go ahead and take a vote, Mr. Chair. Mr. Commissioner. Commissioner Gallegos?
I accept.
Yeah,
That's all.
accept. Got it. Commissioner Miller?
Yes.
Commissioner Alvear?
Yes.
And Commissioner Mulvihill? All right, we have four, I'm sorry,
Yes.
Commissioner Wilkins, yes. All right, so 5 yeses. And Vice Chair, congratulations,
Yes.
Commissioner Gallegos.
Okay, now it's for the nominations for the chair position.
Can I nominate again? Or are you going to?
I was going to as well. Either way, I do want to nominate Commissioner Walkinshaw, Mr. Chair Walkinshaw, for the position of
Okay.
chair for the PZAH.
Anybody else? Chair, do you accept?
Sir.
All right. Anybody else? Take a vote. Okay. Vice Chair Gallegos?
Yes.
Yes. Commissioner Miller?
Yes.
Commissioner Alvear?
Yes.
Commissioner Mulvihill?
No.
And Mr. Chair, Commissioner, you did accept, right? So it's 4-1. Congratulations, Mr. Chair.
All right, thank you. Now it's time for the any changes or approval. If I could get a motion to that.
I make a motion for the approval of the consent agenda.
Second, sorry.
All right, first motion by Commissioner Alvear, second motion by Commissioner Miller. Any discussion? No? All right. Mr. Vice Chair Gallegos?
Yes.
Commissioner Miller?
Yes.
Alvear?
Yes.
Commissioner Mulvihill? Mr. Chair, motion passes 4-0.
Okay, thank you. Next order of business is public input on any of the action items. We got 3 of them. You can get up and give you about 2 minutes to comment if you do have any. Okay, then we've already done the approval of the consent agenda. Is that correct? Oh, no, yeah. Okay, I'm sorry.
This is to approve the minutes.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. Excuse me. Yeah, the approval for the consent agenda is the January 5th, 2025. That should be 6, wouldn't it? 2026.
26.
Didn't think we lost a year.
I move approval for the consent agenda.
Second.
First motion by Commissioner Miller, second motion by Commissioner Mulvihill.
No,
Oh,
I mean-
Alvear, sorry. Sometimes I'm not looking and, well, yeah. Any discussion?
I would like to make a couple of corrections.
Yes.
Page 2, if you go down to the 6th one where it says Commissioner Mulvihill, on the second sentence, it should say, I read, not I wrote, that they would be approved for a certain amount of time. And then number 11, I was new, and then when the term ended should be added to that.
Could you give me that sheet, Commissioner Miller, when you're done? Thank you.
I do. Is there any other comments? I do have one, but anyone else?
Yeah, I had one on page 5. On the voting for me as secretary, there is no vote for Commissioner Mulvihill. There's no.
Oh, I see that.
Yes or no?
Got it, okay.
Or abstain?
I said yes.
You said yes.
I
Okay.
did.
Okay, good.
And you had said yes?
That was it for me.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else?
Thank you.
Well, I think, Mr. Salazar, it's kind of, minor, but, there's been some misspellings again. I don't, do you do this on AI or how do you record?
It transcribes for me through YouTube.
Okay,
With the closed captions, they come out.
okay. So I don't know if there's any way we can have someone proofread it after.
Oh, we do, but there's just a lot
I
of
know.
changes. It's like,
know.
you
Okay.
want to talk a party about 50 to 100 changes, and it's hard to catch them all. But I mean, anything that you all catch, I mean, again, obviously I would get that corrected.
Well, it was misspelled, Leanna in a couple spots. So,
We'll get that reviewed again, and
yeah, on page 6, and I think again on page 9. Pick that up. But no other comments that I have.
got it. Do you have those on your sheet as well?
Yeah.
You can turn that in for me.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. We've already voted on that, right?
Not yet. Those motions were just done.
Right.
Okay.
Let's go ahead and have a vote, Mr. Salazar.
Mr. Vice Chair Gallegos?
Also, just for clarification, do we have a second?
Yes.
Okay, very good, yes.
All right. Commissioner Miller?
Yes.
Commissioner Alvear?
Yes.
Commissioner Mulvihill?
Yes.
Mr. Chair, motion passes 4-0.
Okay, thank you. Now we're down to action and considerations for 3 cases. Zoning case 062084, which is a 2905 Calle de Sur, submitted by Henry
Di Matteo.
Mateo. Excuse me. Thank you. If you would give us a little briefing on that project.
Yeah, the first motion was who?
Oh, yeah, we need a motion.
Move to approve, move to approve zoning case 062084.
Second.
All right. Thank
All
you.
right, first motion by Vice Chair Gallegos, second by Commissioner Alvear. All right, so this is case number 062084, 2905 Calle del Sur, was submitted by Henry Di Matteo requesting approval to build an accessory pole barn on his property. His residence is a zoned rural farm. Mr. Di Matteo will be constructing an accessory pole on his property. Actually, he actually started building a accessory pole, but we'll get that in a minute. A pole barn is similar to a carport, but its purpose is for providing shelter / shade to agricultural equipment and or crops such as alfalfa. The structures had started without a permit. Our code officer made contact with Mr. Di Matteo and advised a permit will be required. Mr. Di Matteo stopped by the office to ask how to rectify the issue. Mr. Di Matteo will be installing the pole barn himself along with help from a friend. The pole barn will be constructed of steel pole galvanized R panel roofing. Some of the poles have already been installed. Mr. Di Matteo was advised a New Mexico CID permit may be required due to the size of the structure. The structure is not pre-manufactured and will be custom installed according to Mesilla Town Code 1515-04, Section D2. An investigation fee in addition to the permit fee shall be collected whether or not a permit it is then or subsequently issued. The investigation investigation fee shall be equal to the annual amount of the permit fee required by this code. The payment of such investigation fee shall not except any person from compliance with all the other provisions of this code, nor for any penalty prescribed by law. Gotta remember not to print it so small if you can completely read it. Departmental comments. Project was started without a permit. I mentioned that already. After speaking with Mr. Di Matteo, he was not aware that he needed to pull a permit through Mesilla, according to his friend / handyman contractor or whatnot. He was advised by him that no permit was required. He misinterpreted again. No permit through it. CID maybe, but I advised him that Mesilla does need to have a permit. Request was reviewed by the review committee. Structure meets all setback requirements for the RF zone. Applicant must contact New Mexico CID for further permitting if required. Permit is issued for 1 year and option to renew for additional 6 months. and a homeowner permit is available through CID to perform the certain work on his own property by himself. So, through CID, he can get a homeowner's building permit, even though if he contracts somebody himself that is not licensed or licensed, they can pull the permit through CID himself. So, evaluation cost has been submitted for this project, a site plan, proof of ownership, and material list of the art panel. I'm gonna stand by for any questions. One last thing, the applicant is here in case there's some questions I'm not able to answer.
Any questions from the commissioners? Yeah, I do have more of, I mean, this is the first time that I've sat on the commission that there's been an investigation fee.
Uh-huh.
So I was wondering, I kind of looked that up and it looks like for anything over and above $30,000 or $3,000 value, the fee is $60. Is that?
3,000 or 300?
Well, 300, excuse me. So
That's correct.
so
It's $60, but also in the next paragraph, it does the next section 2, I think it was.
Yeah.
It states that it's equal to the permit that's being required. So if the permit cost based off the evaluation cost, say for instance this project cost $5,000, then you do the fee, it's $129 plus. According to that section, because there was no permit pulled previously, then it's double the amount.
Okay, thank you.
Which comes out to $259.
Okay, thank you. I
Do
appreciate
you
it.
want any comment?
Any other comments, questions? Okay, Mr. Salazar, ready for a vote?
All right. So let me get my sheet here. Okay, Vice Chair Gallegos,
Yes.
Commissioner Miller,
Yes.
Commissioner Alviar,
Yes.
Commissioner Mulvihill.
Yes.
Mr. Chair, motion passes 4-0.
Okay, thank you.
And this does not have to go to the Board of Trustees for final approval. This is the final.
All right.
Mr. Mateo has been approved, and then somebody tomorrow morning, I'll be able to help.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, we're on to the next, I need a propose, or on case number 062085, which is at 2872 Calle de San Albino, submitted by Jeffrey Burrus, requesting a prefab shed on his property, and it's in HR. So you can give us a little. I need a motion on.
To accept zoning case 062085.
Second.
All right, first motion by Commissioner Miller, second motion by Commissioner Alviar. Any discussion? Okay, so this application is 062085. It is located at 2872 Calle de San Albino. It was submitted by Jeffrey Burras, requesting approval to a prefabricated shed on the property. It is in historical residential. Mr. Burras is looking to purchase a shed and place it on his property. The shed measurements are approximately 8 feet by 12 feet. It is made out of lumber with no utilities being requested at this time. The shed will be sitting on asphalt without the need of concrete slab. So there's always a slab, it's already asphalt there already. Currently, the shed is being proposed is blue with gray trim. Mr. Burras stated that he was willing to paint or repaint a earth tone color if the commission requests. The shed will be placed on the northwest side of the property, 8 feet from the property line. Mesilla Town Code on the department comments, 18.35060 C1. New structures on the property containing existing structures shall be architecturally similar to the principal dwelling or structure on the property and shall meet the requirements in subsection C3 of this section. Mesilla Town Code 18.35060D. Yards. For all new buildings, front, side, and rear yard must be at least 7 feet from the property line. Mesilla Town Code 18.33.100B1. Colors for exterior stucco. Appropriate colors include colors in the cream to medium brown earth tones referred to in the individual architectural styles found in Mesilla Town Code 18.33.170 as characteristics of the particular style. Permitted acrylic latex paint colors shall be subtle and muted rather than bright and reflective. Proof of ownership, site plan, and elevations have been submitted. And I stand by for any questions.
Yes, ma'am.
Referring back to 18.33, number 1 and number 3,
Mhm.
is it actually similar to the other dwellings within a block radius?
Sometimes I say that one more. I have to get closer because
Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
I'm getting worse and worse in my hearing.
18.33, number 1 and number 3,
Mhm.
is it architecturally similar to other structures within that block
The,
radius?
the difference is the color. And I did talk to the applicants. The blue is not necessarily similar to the style itself. There are some other shades similar, but the color is just blue. And I thought that might be something that, Messiah probably do a little bit of pushback. But he mentioned that he's willing to color it brown, tans, or whatever color the commission requests.
Oh,
I'm
go
sorry,
ahead.
my
Yeah.
other question is going to be, is he going to be wanting to do electrical to that, add electrical to that, or is it just going to be a shed?
Yeah, it's just going to be a shed. I asked him if there's going to be utilities. There's no utilities, no electrical, nothing like that.
Yeah, I did have a comment kind of adding on to Mrs. Mohill. Mohill. I'm sorry.
That's
I disagree that it doesn't match the architectural style. I mean, it looks like a barn. And so, I looked up online and there's various other ones that would meet it as far as having a pitch roof rather than looking like a barn. And you could color it the same color as his house and it wouldn't stand out as much because it's visible from the road. Even though it's set back on the property, it's still visible to the road. Remember we over by the church on someone installed without permission a similar one, and it was ugly. It really stood out.
Yeah, they took
And
that out.
They took it out because by our concern. So this is really kind of similar to that as far as a structure goes. So
Yeah, that's
I
again.
would like to.
There are some other sheds there, but around that block. But again, were those approved or were those already long time ago? Were those
Yeah, I don't wanna
illegally
set
installed?
precedents.
That's.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I agree. The design itself, the house doesn't match, but the neighborhood is sometimes what the code mentions is if there is no other. I forget how it's worded, but it's from that particular block.
Mhm.
But yeah, whatever if he needs to look for a different style of shed, I'm sure that he'll be okay with it. I mean, he just wants some storage. And he saw the this was on special. That's why he wanted to buy it blue. But
They also have the ones that look more like adobe houses. I mean,
So a quick question. So the gentleman, the property owner, Jeffrey Burros, he wants to build this barn. It looks kind of like a tough shed. I might be wrong. Yeah, but my question is, I don't have a problem with the structural design of the shed, but more the color integrity to the property and the neighbors' properties. Is the color connected to the stucco of the property in any way? Do we know why he chose blue?
Right.
I mean,
only because he was willing to repaint it.
oh, okay.
Only because this one was on special,
Oh,
and
okay.
he was getting a deal. But
Yeah.
he mentioned if he needs to be the same color as his primary residence, that he would paint it.
Could that maybe be a compromise?
It depends. I mean, it depends on the commission, right? It's
Exactly.
that's why we vote.
I think Commissioner Mulville brought up a great point. You kind of want consistency in the neighborhood.
Any other commissioners have comments? So is there a proposal forth is whether we're going to approve this or approve it with conditions or have them go back
Mr.
out?
Chair, you want to, I was going to ask, you want to go for the vote or you want to amend the?
Well, I guess my proposal would be deny it, and he'll have to go back. You'll get with them and find something that's more. Yeah.
Yeah, you made the original motion, so I mean, you would.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Go.
You make motion, same thing that you did. So we're sticking with the motion. Now we're just going for the vote, right? Doesn't mean that you want to approve it. It just routinely has, that's how we. So now we're going for the vote.
Without the,
What was the motion?
The motion was to approve the application that was submitted, right? And then obviously you will deny or you accept. So Commissioner Gallego,
Move to approve with the condition the color changes to a more appropriate color to the home in correlation to the stucco, the homeowner.
okay, there is already a motion and a second, right? We're just going for the vote now. The vote, we're gonna vote yes or no on the application.
We don't have to deny it. Though.
So you want to make a motion, a different motion?
No. So for this current motion on the floor, I would say a no.
sorry.
Commissioner Miller,
No,
Commissioner LVR?
Ah. I just want them to paint it, that's all. But I don't want them to change. This is fine for me. No. Yes, no, mine's a yes, because you guys are no.
So what's the final answer?
Yes.
Okay.
Your turn.
Commissioner Woodhill, yes?
No.
Or no? You're shaking your head, yes. Wood.
Yeah.
And you don't vote.
I'll get the
Motion fails 1-3, did not pass. But he does have an option to purchase a different style and then resubmit, correct?
Yeah.
Got it.
right.
I just to clarify, I'm just looking at the color.
Yes, me too.
I'm sorry?
I'm not looking at the architectural.
Okay.
style.
You're saying no because of the color.
Yes, sir.
Got it.
Just clarification.
So it's 2-2, right?
No.
Oh,
It's still a no, because it's not.
Still a no.
Still make a new motion. do you not? Mr. Chair, is it possible to make a motion?
what do you think,
No.
Mr. Salazar?
No, it's already been voted on.
Yeah,
Okay, so
yeah.
done.
But you can go back with the recommendation.
Yeah,
with them.
that's why I asked earlier, is do you want to make a new motion?
Okay, thank you. All right, we'll go on to the next one, which is business case 1458, and it's a 170605, excuse me. Tierra de Macia, submitted by Cesar, and it's pronounced Hui. You don't pronounce the H, right? Huizar. Okay, yeah, Huizar. Requesting a permit for his restaurant. I think it's primarily a restaurant. And you can give us a little background on
Yes,
it.
yes, of course, Mr. Chair.
Get a motion? Need a motion.
Move to approve business case 1458.
First motion by Vice Chair Gallego, second motion by Commissioner Miller. All right, so this is business case number 1458. The address is 1707 Tierra de Mesilla, submitted by Cesar Huizar, requesting approval to operate a restaurant. So this application is for a business license, okay? Background and analysis, Mr. Huizar is requesting approval to operate a restaurant at his currently being built building. The commercial structure was approved by the commission and the governing board. The alcohol will be served in this restaurant. An application was submitted to the New Mexico Regulations and Licensing Department, RLD, Alcohol Beverage Control, ABC Division. Pre-approval letter was received from the New Mexico RLD and require a public hearing and a final approval by the governing board. The hearing has been scheduled on February 9th, 2026 at 5 p.m. That hearing is being scheduled with the Board of Trustees. It doesn't.
Right.
The restaurant is El Parian de Mesilla, will be approximately 8,500 square feet. A parking fee of $500 along with a business and alcohol license will be required to be renewed yearly. Business license and parking fee expire every year on March 15th. Alcohol license expire on June 30th. Every year, business license will be every 30th every year. Businesses will be open 7 days a week from 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. That's according to the business plan that he had submitted. That's included in this packet. Zoning permit 061693 was issued to construct permit on 9/11/2023. It was approved through the commission in August 21st, and the final approval was on September 9/11. Alcohol hearing has been scheduled on 2/9/26 with the Board of Trustees. A parking fee of $500 will be included every year upon license renewal, and I do recommend approval. Application, New Mexico tax ID, EIN tax ID, business plan, and a certificate of liability has been submitted. He's got a pretty extensive business plan. You know, it's pretty nice to look at. Obviously, he has invested a lot of money in this business. Not sure if maybe some of the commission were here or some were not, but back in August 21st, 2021, it was approved with the correct number of parkings. I believe it was like 53 parkings or such, but the building was a little bit smaller than what it is today. When it went to the Board of Trustees, it also was approved through the Board of Trustees for this building. Since then, since 2023, there has been 2 amendments structurally that have been the last one is being reviewed still through CID again, but this is for a business license itself. I mentioned that because the parking, after speaking with Mr. Cesar, he understands, and the architect also understand that there is going to be a $500 fee additionally because the parking was not the requirements were not met. Right, according to our Mesilla Town Code, it does state that before a restaurant, 1 parking is required for every 100 square feet.
Right.
So if it's 8,500 square feet, so that's 85 parkings.
Yeah.
Right. Again, he understands that because they didn't meet that criteria that annually a $500 fee is required. And I stand by for any questions.
Yeah, as far as the parking, I do have a question. So the $500 per year is based on street parking, correct?
Yeah, it's the same thing. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Either way.
Yeah.
The
That
point
way, in cases property just cannot hold the amount of customers.
Exactly. Okay. Exactly. So that's a 500 flat fee, depending on how many parking you have on the road anyway, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And originally, that building was being proposed to be a mixed-use building, which required 200 square feet for 1 parking.
Right.
But because he went full restaurant, that's why he doesn't meet the requirement.
Yeah, I'm a little bit confused about that because when you read everything, it looks like it's supposed to be like the Pink store down in.
Yeah, that's what his original plan when business
that was
plan.
original.
Yeah, that was his original business
That
plan when he
is
submitted.
mixed use
Yeah.
down there, and a lot of the retail is actually in the restaurant part of it too. I mean, it's all in the same floor plan. So
Yeah, and the commission would decide. I mean, it depends on there's a lot of restaurants that sell stuff inside.
Yeah.
Like retail stuff. So now is it a full blown retail business inside of a restaurant, or is it just accessory to the restaurant? They're selling little knickknacks, souvenirs, and such like that. I mean, I don't think that really should be fall under a retail store, but it's up again. It depends on the amount, right? Yeah, it's like a gift shop, right?
Yeah. Okay. All right. Thank you.
So that's why
I just. Oh, go ahead. Yeah.
My question is so how many parking spaces are allotted? How many parking spaces are allotted for that? I mean, I know that he's going to be able to use the street and stuff, but how many is he putting in?
right now it's on the board. Actually, I think it was I put at 57.
Oh, I counted 40 something. So
How much was it?
Okay.
50, I think it was like over 50.
40.
Yeah, 53.
Where does it say that?
On the second page.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
All right, thanks. I
Yeah.
didn't see.
Because I just counted on the little map, and it looked like there was only about 45. And also, I know he has to have parking for employees, but I mean, if it's going to be street parking anyway,
Yeah, it's got to be. That's why again the $500 all falls under the same.
Yeah.
Is a code specifically written to specify exactly for this particular case? No, it's not. That's why we take sometimes case by case to try to make the business.
any other comments by the commissioners?
There's a draining, a ponding area there too as well?
Yeah, they built it.
A
Oh,
ponding area?
Yes.
yeah, they built a pretty good one. Yeah, I saw it on the east end.
Right, and they actually have.
Yeah, thank you.
Mr. Chair and Commissioners, they've actually installed an actual ponding area for the facility, as well as they've tried to channel as much water from the backside of the building
Right.
back around to the ponding area, so
The
that
south
they're
side, the south side.
on the south side, so
Right.
that
Bring it around.
they're not dumping any rainwater into the sequía that's there or into the
Adjacent.
adjoining properties. So they have made an effort to
Good.
try
It
and
looked
and
like it,
keep that.
All right, thank you.
One other thing that I would like to point out, and we haven't talked about this in past approvals. This building, since it is a fully brand new building, it doesn't make notation of any EV, what we call EV chargers.
Oh.
They will need to be installed. It is a
Oh,
new building code requirement. I know that the town of Mesilla has not been enforcing that much,
Yeah.
but it is something that is coming, it is on board with building issues now. So it's something that may want to be looked at in future.
So it's part of the national building code?
Yes, it's
Currently,
part
it's
of the
fairly
building
new,
code
right?
that now,
Right.
now as a new building comes in, you'll have to supply X amount of parkings for EV chargers, as well as a X amount of number for any future expansion that you plan on doing.
Excellent.
So there
That's
is an
good.
actual chart that is set, and
Okay.
those are going to be starting to be looked at more closely.
So since it's not in our code currently, it's
¿Qué bueno?
They just trust you to catch that?
Oh, yeah,
Okay,
we'll catch it on the building side. As long as CID or any other agency is looking at permitting, we will look at that. But just so that the community knows that they're starting to enforce the installation of EV chargers now.
Thank you very much. That's good
Is that,
information. Oh,
is that
go ahead.
affect this property at this time?
It shouldn't, because it's going to be included as part of the overall parking that is required. So it shouldn't affect the building, but it's something that it's not shown on the drawings as the location, but it's something that they will have to put in,
Okay.
which
Good,
won't
good.
affect the use and the appearance of the building itself.
Okay. Very good. I guess, Eddie, the only other outstanding on this structure is the signage. And remember, we changed it's not codified yet, but we changed the sign plan for commercial. So it could be, instead of 15, I think it's 10% of the,
Yeah, we had a work session on that, and we have a hearing scheduled. It's upcoming on the
Okay.
second
okay.
of February. Is it second?
Yeah.
Second or 19th? Yeah, but it is scheduled. I have it posted already. So yeah, we're all going to be talking about our code first,
Right.
before we consider this request.
The sign. Okay. Thank you.
Another thing also about the amendment on this particular case is, as Mr. Maesa mentioned about the building code, there are also some changes with the fire code. So they also had to work with our fire chief. They also had installed some sprinklers and so that's why it's being delayed quite drastically.
Yeah.
I mean, so I'm sure he's egging to get started. There is a lot of money invested in this, so I mean, we're just doing as fast as we can get it done. Obviously.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
Mr. Salazar, one last, or actually two last questions. One is the building ready for operational use, and then two, what's the stage for?
The building is not ready for operation. Some, like I mentioned, CID permitting requirements that need to be met. I'll let Mr. Maesa. Mr. Chair, Commissioner Gallegos, the building shell, as it was approved originally, is in the process of being completed. It has not had a final inspection per se. We do have a set of plans for the restaurant facility itself that is being reviewed at this time. It has not been completed as far as the building plan itself. It is in the works. We're hoping to get that out here shortly. But it will be under a separate permit as far as a building it goes.
We do have a current permit for the building shell as it stands, but there will be a new permit for the restaurant and anything else that is going in the envelope of the building itself.
Thank you, Mr. Mason.
Other comments? From
What was your
the
second
commissioners?
question?
Stage.
yeah.
Stage. Karaoke?
Karaoke?
Mariachi?
Hey, maybe.
We know what the prognosis is for the stage.
I don't know that.
Does it say in here?
Yes, they did.
Yeah. Karaoke, maybe. Well, you wanna sign up or what?
No, sir.
Yeah, I guess the other part of getting back to the parking, I know in some section it said if they have outdoor dining, they have to have a certain amount of parking for outdoor dining.
Uh-huh.
They are having a plaza on the
Yeah,
east
with the
end
shielding and all that stuff.
with a view of the mountains and all that. So
Well, I'll double check on that, but I do remember having a meeting and discussing that, but
okay.
I haven't personally gone out there and checked, but I'm sure we'll take a look at that.
Okay. Thank you. Any other? Yeah, I would think. Yeah. Yeah. I think so. Yeah.
They just make sure that it's going to be shielded.
All right. Any other comments? So we're ready for a vote.
Yes, I am.
You are.
Okay. Vice Chair Gallegos,
Yes.
Commissioner Miller,
Yes.
Commissioner Alviar,
Yes.
and Commissioner Mulvihill.
Yes.
Chair motion passes 4-0.
Okay. Very good. Thank you. Now it is time for commissioner staff comments.
Oh, I thought. CD over there making noise. You want to say something? Oh.
Okay. Oh, yeah, we have.
I'm a little confused on what happened with the B section of the shed. Like, Gallegos wanted to change the motion, and was it?
Change the color.
I'm confused as.
No, we had a motion to go with it as is, and then we all voted no. So we couldn't, after we all voted no, we couldn't take
Do
this
another
motion.
and right.
So it did not pass.
I get that, but why wasn't he allowed to change it before you did the vote? Because he didn't want to change it before.
We asked to change it after we all voted.
We had a motion on the floor.
There was a motion on the floor. We already had a motion.
If you didn't let him change it afterwards.
That should have been a new motion. I'm not sure why it was not adopted or voted upon.
Wasn't brought up. Yeah.
Watch the tape.
You had a question?
I'll rewatch the video. Confused. I knew.
My question is, or my comment is, the winery that's on Highway 28, they have all that plastic shelter around the winery there. And were they supposed to get permission for that? Because that really doesn't look very tasteful.
You're talking about Madison?
Yeah, I guess. I don't know the
Vintage
winery.
wine.
Vintage wine?
Oh, that was on the main street.
And,
On the main-
if they're going to
Vintage.
do it, then that's going to allow other people to do that too. And so did codes go out and look at that, or is that within code? It doesn't, I looked it up. I didn't see anything in code.
No.
Approved it for Madeline's.
Yeah, Madeline's we
Got the
did
same
approve,
thing.
not for vintage
Not for
one.
vintage.
And they didn't submit a permit for it.
And they still never even.
Now, again, the question is, do they need a permit, right? Because they don't have, Madeline's actually wanted to do like a structure type windows and such like thing. It's a little bit more structurally. This is just a curtain, right? Now, again, if the commission feels that she needs to get a permit, then I'm on board with that, right? And I do think it looks kind of cheesy, to be honest. But I always put myself in the code department. Okay, say, okay, hey, you need to go get a permit for this, and said, well, show me where it says where I gotta get one, right? So it's kind of like it's debatable. So if the commission feels that they need to get a permit, then I can request codes to go out there and talk to them and have them submit a permit.
My question was just like, are we setting, like you said earlier, are we setting a precedence for other people just to come in and do that? I don't know.
So if they do come in and get a permit, what will be different? Like what change, do we require them to not put clear curtains? Or would they have to enclose it more permanently? How would that work?
Well, you're saying we don't have anything to
In the
prohibit
code.
them?
No,
I'm sorry?
We don't have anything in the code to prohibit them
it's
from
not
doing
in the
that?
code.
No.
Yeah.
Prohibit or allow?
Yeah.
Right, so,
But does it, the way the structure looks? Like,
yeah,
what if they
there's
feel-
different, yeah, like I said, it depends on the commission, you know, I mean, if they feel like it needs to be brought up for a permit because it changes the appearance of the appearance of the exterior of the building, then they need to come get a permit. I mean, we could,
So when we're driving around, we see other things, ugly things that we just come and say, it's changed the appearance and we want to change it.
that's, I guess it's.
That's gonna
it's
be a
up-
slippery
up
slope.
to interpretation,
Um,
you know, I mean, if they move a trash can from here to there, that changes the appearance, are you gonna get a permit for that? I mean, so again, and the same thing, are you gonna put, again, it's just, yeah, it's just, however, you know, the commission or even residents call sometimes, it depends.
I mean, if we're gonna compare, I haven't been to Madeline's and compare that curtain or whatever with this curtain, or is it a comparison? I don't know, but this one you can, I haven't been to Madeline's. This one, when you're driving by, you see it, like it's plastic. It's not like a, it's not like a
It's right on the main drag.
pretty one. It's just like, I don't know, like it was like cellophane wrapped around the.
Yeah,
Along those lines, that they still have 4 signs up, they're supposed to only have 2.
we'll take a look at that because I did mention that already.
Like
And
that.
again, thanks for bringing it up, but I don't,
It's right there.
I bring it up, right?
It's
As much as you guys bring it up, it's not my department, it's not, they're under different department heads, I can only, we'll bring it up again.
In my opinion, you know, looking with the commissioners, I would think that they should have asked permission and not just put it up and then
And
we
assume?
discuss it at that time. Like
Yeah.
we do
Okay.
everybody else's cases.
Yeah.
Discuss it and see if it's something we want to do. And like Commissioner Alvear said, you know, is it compatible or comparable to Madeline's or not, you know?
Well, are we looking at that? Is that what we're saying? That's what I was saying. I'm driving around and I was like, oh, that one doesn't look like Madeline's and we approve Madeline's. What is that? Or I go down the road and there's something else I don't like. Do I say, well, I don't like that one either? Like where do you stop me from?
Oh, we have to look at code.
Yeah.
Well, it's not in
I
the
quote
code.
my commissioner buddy here, he said, I didn't sign up for this.
Yeah, so I'm like, where does it start and where does it stop?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, I don't have an answer. All I do know is that, you know, I try to stick to as close as I can to the code and interpret how the code is. Now, enforcing part of it is not something in my purview that I am familiar with. Generally, when somebody comes in and asks about a possible code violation, I ask them to call dispatch.
Mhm.
Call dispatch. Dispatch will send the code officer over there, and the co-officer would talk to the person, and he looks at his section of the code and to see if there's a violation. It's just me bringing them here. I understand it's part of the permitting process, but yeah, the permitting process that we approve for one, or reporting process they don't approve. But if there's a concern, that's what staff comments and commissioner comments are for. So I don't mind bringing that. But again, like you mentioned, you're gonna go around. That happened to me one time. Believe it or not, I was in court. This one lady would go every morning, would call dispatch with like 40 complaints. I had to check every single one of them every morning for like a month. And I had to do it. It just had to get done.
You might want to look back on past precedents. I don't know if they made her take it down, but didn't they have something similar with the Felix restaurant?
Which
Where
one?
she had put shading on the outside, and I don't know if they asked her to remove it because there was no permit, or she was allowed to keep it, or
Which restaurant?
it was the Don Felix, the one that's across
Oh.
from
Yeah.
Oh,
I know
right,
which one.
the patio.
How long ago was that? Been a while? 5?
Maybe 4 years, I don't remember.
Okay.
It's been a minute.
Yeah.
I'll look at it. Best I can do is say I'll look at it.
Yeah. Just talk
and see, and I'll bring in the response next meeting, see what happened.
Any other
I got a couple.
or
comments.
staff? Yeah.
This is regarding the historic preservation. Just some add-ons with Ms. Diana. I think she did a great job. Thank you. Now, this is just something I'm not looking for answers. This is just something for you to all to kind of remember, including with the, I know in the past, whenever we had, we were talking about historic structures, especially the significant structures that we had. In the past, the commission would ask, well, what would SHPO say? Can you call SHPO? Can you send SHPO a letter? Those kinds of things. Well, SHPO will only get involved if there is funds from the state being addressed to this structure. That's the only way they will get involved. Now, they're very hesitant to tell you yes or no how to fix your problem. They always refer to look at your local code and adhere to your local code as much as possible, right? So when it comes to whenever we start these nominations, it's not going to be as easy as we think, unfortunately, because I fear there's going to be a lot of pushback, and so we really have to consider what are the merits of approval, right? Now, I don't want the historic nominations to be just a nomination. If a neighbor comes in, well, I think your house would be in the nomination code, and we approve it, and it has no bearing to our history, then it kind of weakens or waters down our local registry, right? So really need to make sure that there is some significance to that building. And also, I mean, there is concern. I'm sure I would if I was the owner, and I don't want to be on the historic local historic registry. But there is a process. It's not just something that you just nominate and then you're it. I mean, there is a hearings and such like that, so they can come in and they can voice their opinion. But unfortunately, we have to save our landmark. We have to save our structures. And you move to Mesilla, and this is a historic town, and Mesilla is going to protect its valuable assets in a sense, right? So yeah, there is a process, but also they need to understand that we don't need the owner's consent for that. That's just unfortunately for the owner, but fortunately for Mesilla. And then the process that we're bringing up is what comes all the way from Mrs. McWilliams up north, right? But the commission can still set with those requirements met. We can still set our own process here, meeting those requirements. Like, say for instance, like nominations. For instance, the commission shouldn't hear those nominations unless it meets this requirement. Maybe we need to do like an internal review and say, first it has to meet this criteria. Is it significant? Is it blah 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 or whatever? Is it older than 50 years? Whatever those merits are. So we're not just wasting time, because there's a lot of buildings out there, and that's going to be my next thing. Which ones do we do first, right? And then I think that should be something we should discuss as the commission. I think we should start with maybe the ones that are already in the national registry, right, like you mentioned. But also, besides that, which ones do we want to move forward with, right? And I think, again, it's up to the commission which one we want to do. I think the ones that we think are not going to be object to it, we're probably one of the first ones, so we don't get tied up too much on postponing meetings and such and those kinds of things. Meetings, we're probably planning on having a hearing for a nomination. We talked about once a month, or how many? With maybe three nominations a month. So in a year, that's going to be 36 nominations if they get approved. We still got more, right? So again, this is just something to prepare you guys to kind of put that in your head that it is a long process, but we would like to again make sure that we make it as streamlined and efficient as possible.
Do we get a raise with all this extra work?
You get a
Raise with
A
our extra
percentage
work?
of 0.
you get to sleep better at night. It is a lot more work though, and it is a lot more work. And maybe we should have talked about that before you re-enlisted in for another year, right? And the reason why we're moving forward, like Mayor wanted us to, and to add to that is I'm getting more and more involved with the farmers, and we just went to an event for Save Our Farmland, the Greenbelt, right? We talked about our comp planning. We talked about two more important things: is our historic structures, and the other ones are Greenbelt. Mm-hmm. So I'm getting more and more involved with agencies and funds and techniques and those kinds of things that. And I love farming. Farming is my passion. It's one of the things that I do on a smaller scale. But I enjoy it, so I welcome it. And no, I don't get paid any extra. But look for that too as well. So not to take away from the historic structure, but that is part of the culture too, right? The farming is part of the. We always look at the farmers market. And honestly, farmers market, I think, again, going back to being washed down, because now there really ain't no farmers, right? It's called a farmers market, but I'm like, where are the farmers at? There's no farmers, right? So there's more people from the outside of Macias selling because of the traffic or whatever. But we would like to see a lot of indigenous people from here create their crafts and farmland. I'm not farmland, fruits and vegetables. And we even got this idea about putting out vending machines out in the farmland. They're coming out that are pretty cool. I mean, they put them out there on the edge of their property, and when they sell eggs, it's just like a locker, like a vending. You put out their eggs, you swipe it, you grab your egg, boom, and you take off. It's just a lot of different stuff that again, try to do with the change, but still try to maintain the integrity of Mesilla. What else?
Can I say something real quick to piggyback on what you're saying? Can I say something real quick?
Uh-huh.
I think that with working with Liliana with the the pushback that you said, maybe we wouldn't have as much pushback if we educated the owners of these historical sites. Because if we proposed of the benefits before they start saying no
Right.
or anything like that, because right away the pushback's
Good
like,
strategy.
wait, because they
Right.
think it's something but if it's made like the way she explains it, if I was the homeowner and she's coming to my house and she tells it like that, I'm going to say yes, and put my neighbors and put this, because
You
of
want
the way
people-
that it's presented.
And that's what we talked about.
So I think that would be very helpful that we presented, like have a market, like a marketing proposal of how wonderful it is to be on this local historic
Yeah.
preservation.
And again, the brainstorming that we do in the office is maybe we'll have a brainstorming here, but it's just brainstorming. No, there's no wrong or right answer. It's just we'll just throw ideas out there, right? It's just
Like everything.
being nominated should be
But
a prestigious reward for you, right?
But we have to market it that way.
Yeah,
'cause
exactly.
If we don't, then
You would want them to be on the.
you want to come to us. We're
And we
not
talked
gonna-
about the plate, maybe recognize them in a bronze plate. We talked about maybe even that she mentioned there's a tax break. Maybe I talked to the mayor. Maybe here we can do something like that. Maybe it increases the value of the home. I mean, we have considered those.
Yeah, we have to market it, and then we won't have any pushback.
I would
Well,
say-
hopefully not.
I would piggyback on Commissioner Aviad as well, and maybe offer like a certificate that they can display in their home. Say,
Yeah,
I'm-
it's kind of
I'm
like a car, right?
registered.
Like I always tell, like a classic car, you're gonna repair it. You're gonna put aftermarket parts on it, or if you restore a brand new classic car to its original state, it's gonna be worth more, right? And that's we talked about those things. We hopefully, but again, I just wanna. It's gonna be what merits when we're out here, we're in the hearing. Just want to make sure that you guys are ready for that.
Yeah, I want to add on to that, and maybe those could be starting in the product for the newsletter that you're putting out. That's a good probably mechanism to start getting the word out about this.
Yeah. See, and any of those places is going to be now another signage thing, right? And then it's just every single little thing, and then you got to codify it, and it's just like. It's just patience is all we're asking. It's just patience. As long as we're going in the right direction. Anything else? Nada?
And with commissioners, my intention is to also help to educate you as well, and for you to not say, well, what does that mean, and what does this mean? Because there is a lot of information out there, and but I really urge you, if those documents that I sent you, as far as what the Historic Preservation Act really means and how we can incorporate that, and the Secretary of the Interior standards for rehabilitation, that is key to everything that we will be dealing with here as far as additions, restorations, rehabilitations. So, but please come. My office is here, and I'm always open for you there, and you have my email on. So please feel free at any time to come. So thank
Very
you.
good.
Thank you.
Do I hear it's time for adjournment? Everyone agrees? Good. Okay, thank you.
All right,
Good. Thank you, Ed.
let's go.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Great job.